Hello everybody, welcome to the NPTEL SWAM course on Customer Relationship Management. This is Dr. Shagato Chatterjee from VGSOM IIT Kharagpur who is taking this course for you. We are in week 4 and in this particular session we will discuss a case study on Tchibo ideas. So, the case study's name is Tchibo ideas leveraging the creativity of customers. So, I would want to say that I have taken help from a case study from Harvard Business Review and from multiple sources of information that can be obtained about this particular business in multiple places like internet and etc. and those are there in the references of this particular presentation. And we will be discussing about Tchibo ideas in the context of B2B in the customer space, and later point of time we will CRM in the customer space, and in the later point of time we will be discuss in detail what exactly CRM means when it is in the context of B2C businesses and how that affects customer decisions, customers welfare, customers satisfaction and etc. in the context of both products and services. So, here in this particular context Tchibo is actually a combination of product and services, and here we are talking about the creativity of the customers, how you can leverage that, how you can make your customers innovate for you is something that we will be discussing. It is a classic case study of co-creation that we were discussing till now. So, what is co-creation? Co-creation is where you and your customer comes together to build a service and experience or an offering, and that might be very much particular to that particular customer, that whatever he get, he designs, he only gets, but sometimes that particular design can be also adopted in a mass scale production or can be given to other people also. So, both way it is co-creation, and this is an example of the second one where the customer comes up with the ideas and Tchibo basically uses those ideas to create different kind of experiences. So, let us go ahead with this case. So, what is Tchibo? Tchibo is basically a company which is a coffee company based out of Germany. So, in 1949 Tchibo was founded, and it was a coffee subscription company, means it will go to your house and it will deliver coffee to your house, that kind of a company it was. So, initially coffee subscription was a business that was going pretty well for Tchibo. There were lots of subscribers all over Germany and they were actually having different kinds of subscription plans, and those plans have different kind of takers as well, depending on what kind of plans you are taking and whether you are renewing the plan and etc. The customer lifetime value calculations and etc. were going on. Now, in 1955, 6 years later, German coffee shop, they started a German coffee shop for both buy and drink coffee. So, it is like something like cafe coffee day in our, but probably an older version of that, where somebody can buy coffee, buy raw coffee powder or coffee beans, and they can also have coffee in that particular place. So, slowly from a product based model, subscription is primarily a product based model. Obviously, there was some service component in it. We always say all businesses, there is nothing called a product business or there is a service business. It is always a continuum, and in this continuum you will say that one end is service, another end is product. Services are more intangible, products are more tangible, services are more customizable, products are less customizable than services, and so on. So, there is always a continuum and you have to position yourself in between that. So, when they were in the subscription mode, they were more towards the product continuum, product side of the continuum. That means that they were more related, they were more associated with the product ideation, or let us say the ideology of product or product selling. Now, in 1955, say they removed themselves, they moved themselves from a little bit from product to service in the continuum, and they opened a retail shop. So, they still have their own products, but they are opening a retail shop, which is basically a cafe coffee day kind of shop, which is German coffee shop, and where you can probably have a coffee and you can also buy coffee beans and coffee powders. In 1958, 3 years from then, more than 77 stores. They've all of a sudden they found out that these stores are making better businesses than better business than the subscription models. So they started expanding, and expansion also requires a little bit of investment. So they invested on the expansion plans, and they were not only in the bigger cities of Germany, but also in the smaller cities or tier 2 cities they went up, and they had 77 stores, which is a big number for in 3 years. And that too at that point of time when the economy is not as strong as now, probably post Second World War kind of a situation. From 1955 to 58, they opened 77 stores, and they became the #1 coffee brand in Germany. So slowly in the national level, they were pretty well known German brand. And now from the in the continuum that I was talking about, from the product to service continuum, they have moved further from product to being service, because they now their major business is the retail business rather than the subscription business. Then in 1964, they started offering small products as complementary items. So this is where all of a sudden again they are coming back to the product mode. So they have retail stores, but what does this retail store sell? The retail stores sell coffee. Now they started thinking that I have retail store, how can I actually leverage this existence of this retail store in multiple places all over Germany better? I have a space, and or not always the customers can only buy up to a level of coffee. Let's say I will consume, let's say, around 100 grams or 200 grams of coffee in a month or in a fortnight. So I cannot probably go and buy huge amount of coffee, but the fact that I am going to your retail store is an opportunity for you. You have to, if you are this German bakery, the coffee shop, you have to make sure that how much you can take advantage of me visiting your retail store. Remember, at that point there was no internet business were going on, so it was all footfall in the brick and mortar retail store. So if somebody is coming inside your retail store, you have to take that opportunity as much as possible. So they started thinking that other than the normal the coffee, what else they can sell? And what else they can sell? They can sell various kinds of coffee related products. So they started offering small products. Initially they started offering as complementary items. Why complementary items? Because they were just measuring the depth of the water. They were checking that how much people will actually buy this stuff, how much people were interested to buy something beyond coffee in a coffee store. And later they sold them at a symbolic prices due to law. So initially when the German law at that point of time was very strict, and they were not allowed to give complementary items because there was competition involved. So if you give complementary item, then that particular item will not be sold in open market, because people will think that okay, the price of this item is very low in comparison to what is being charged in the open market, not as complementary. So then what? So then what they did is, instead of giving complementary, they was charging very small prices, provided that you had drinks, coffee or whatever in that particular retail store, or you bought something. So ideally they were again moving back from the service model to a little bit of product model. And in 1972, actually this thing went on till 1972 pretty well, and then they were having 1987 they were came up with Tchibo depots, and in 1996 Tchibo Direct. Tchibo depots are basically bigger shops where not only products, not only this kind of I would say complementary products or coffees were sold, but also various other kind of products related to grocery, related to other interesting items, apparel and etc. were also being sold in Tchibo depots, which is basically a medium scale mall where you can go, mall or medium scale shop where you can go and buy multiple products. At the same time, you can enjoy your coffee while doing the shopping. And in 1996, they opened up a Tchibo Direct. Tchibo Direct is basically an internet shop of, at the same time, you can buy all the products that were there in the Tchibo, or selected products that were there in the Tchibo can be bought through Tchibo Direct also. Tchibo Direct is basically both online store which sells both this coffee, and at the same time it also sells certain products which were more popular, which were more accepted by the customers, that were also being told. So, this is the history of Tchibo. That is how they have developed over time. So, they were very I would say very fluctuating in nature in terms of their exact positioning, but they actually, whatever positioning that they decided at a certain point of time, they generally could manage it well, and that is why they were successful both in the product side of the continuum and also in the service side of the continuum. Now, later they came up with something called Tchibo Experience. So, Tchibo Experience has three major models. One is the coffee experience, the second is the coffee shop experience, and third was the non-food experience. So, these are the three major things that created the coffee, the overall Tchibo. So, it is something like what we do in the case of, what we see in the case of Tchibo also. For example, for CCD also, or if you barista or this kind of coffee shops that you see, they are the similar experiences they used to give much before. So, if I talk about the coffee experience, it is like the good of rich coffee. It can be espresso, it can be americano, it can be cappuccino, different kind of coffee they had to produce, they were producing, and also they had coffee in the bean form, in the powder form, or in the servable form, which you can directly consume at that particular place. So, that was one of the major things. So, I would say, so variety of coffee and instant consumption of coffee. This was the major thing out of the coffee experience. Then came the coffee shop experience. It is like when you go to CCD or barista, what do you experience? You experience a very good ambience, you experience the music, you experience the laid back kind of service. So, laid back service means the service people are also very laid back, very relaxed, and they encourage you to actually relax. So, big sofas and comfortable seating and etc. So, they actually encourage you to spend time and discuss and talk and enjoy the coffee shop experience rather than only coffee. So, it is not only I am selling you the coffee, I am selling you the ambience, I am selling you nostalgia, sometimes of nostalgia of having a good time with your friends, or I am giving the experience of having a good talk. So, all of these things comes under the coffee shop experience. And the third one is non-food experience. So, it can be anything, it can be some let us say coffee machine, mugs, or other innovative items. So, all of these three things together became the overall Tchibo's ideation, overall Tchibo's brand value. So, Tchibo Experience had these three prominent components, and each of these components had their own importance in the overall service design that they are doing. So, their major product were, when we are talking about this particular non-food experience, what exactly is the non-food experience that this Tchibo Experience shops or Tchibo depots or Tchibo retail store were giving is something that we have to discuss. So, what they were doing here is they had new product every week. Every week they were coming up with a new product, and oftentimes that was associated with the seasonal theme at that particular season, whatever theme was going on. So, then what happens is that there is a repeated theme annually. So, whatever was last monsoon, whatever theme was there, again the same theme and same products repeats itself, but every week there is a new item. And that is why, because there was every week there is a new item involved, and which will be shown in the racks of the retail store, and which will be pushed by the retail shop employees and etc. That is why one of the major challenge that they were facing was innovation, and people were actually liking the innovative products that are coming up in the retail store, but keeping up with that expectation that every week there will be an innovation, or there will be an innovative product that will be not something boring which can be seen there, was becoming slowly a challenge. What are the places? So, this was about the product, the 4 P's we were discussing. So, what are the places? There were in 800 Tchibo shops where this non-food experience was being provided. Tchibo Depot in 9,000 supermarkets. So, basically it's a big retail stores as was selling. Majorly selling was more important than coffee experience. So, here I would say in Tchibo shops, coffee experiences were more important. Coffee and coffee shop experiences were more important, but here basically non-food experiences were further more important, and Tchibo Direct was basically internet. So, in all of these places were also coffee, not coffee shop, coffee and non-food experiences were more important. So, in all of these 3 channels, majorly in these 2, the non-food was a thing that was very important, and non-food means innovative products every. So, they were trying to actually attack to the market from multiple front. One is the retail store where somebody can come and buy various products, which they call Tchibo Depot, and then there were also food retail stores in terms of Tchibo shops where people can consume coffee also and also buy products, and then internet marketing also, which is like internet e-commerce or mobile commerce. Mobile was not there, e-commerce was from where they were selling. The price was affordable, and the promotion that were done were majorly through Tchibo Direct. Now, see, it is an innovative product. Every week if the product changes, you cannot run an advertising campaign every week. So, because the internet marketing is relatively cheaper and more, you can do more targeted advertising in an internet environment, that is why they have chosen this Tchibo Direct, through which they were doing their advertisements. And if I talk about the customers, what are the majorly customers that they were getting? 82.5 million target group in Germany. 82.5 million in the context of Germany is not a small number, and average age was 50 years. So, these guys were all middle aged. So, this is something which is important, middle aged or probably slowly going towards old age. So, after 60 if we consider old age, so they were middle age. 40 to 50, and then 80% were females. This is further more important observation, that majorly they were female, and that is why the products that you have to make are majorly probably household oriented or female needs oriented products were majorly being you have to create those kind of products. And mothers generally buy the innovative small very interesting things mothers used to buy for their kids, and consumer life cycle of the kids were also something that we are focusing on. See, ultimately the kids will someday will become the elder generation, and so by attracting the kids to the shop by the innovative toys, let us say, at an early age, they were making sure that okay, this guy will feel nostalgic once he becomes elder. Once he becomes, let us say 25, 30, 35 or even 50, he will think that okay, in the childhood I used to go with my mom to this particular store, so I will also go with my kid to this particular store. So, that kind of cycle they were trying to track, and if you check, they were there for quite some time. They have started this business of innovative products in 1964, and we are talking about 2000 something. So, that is a very long time they have stayed with this particular kind of products. So, that helped them a lot. And good brand awareness and overall customer satisfaction was their basic USP based on which they were doing the business. Now, till now everything is so goody. We have to discuss that what was the challenge. So, Tchibo Ideas is something that they launched in 2008 which is a different kind of business model. What they were having the problem was, as I told, that generating innovation was becoming a very important problem. How I can generate innovative ideas every week, how I can get new products every week, that was becoming a specific challenge. So, what they did is they created a platform which is a crowdsourcing platform where the idea generation, as I was telling, that co-creation is the basic background of this case. So, crowdsourcing platform for idea generation, and there was a few crowdsourcing at that time. There was not many crowdsourcing platform and no large scale country level player was there. So, made Tchibo Ideas to be one of the first crowdsourcing platform, and that is why it is a case study. So, they launched in 2008. It had some customers and some designers. So, what designers used to do is designers used to give various kinds of plans. So, these designers are also maybe some customers. These are not employees of Tchibo. They are outsiders. They used to post their ideas, and customers used to like or dislike or vote for those ideas, and only the one which are more prominent ideas, more successful ideas will be converted towards a product. And if it is converted toward the product, there will be a contract, you will get money, the designer will get money from the loyalties of the product, and even if it is not converted, every week there will be a winner and that winner will get some prize money. So, by doing this, they were encouraging their designers to submit certain designs, and they were encouraging the customers to vote for this particular design, so that money can be generated out of it. So, by 2010 they had 8,000 members and who posted 1,000 problems and 600 solutions. So, the customers will come up with the problems, obviously problems will come from the customers and the solutions will come from the designers, and the voting will be done by the customers again. So, that was it, and by 2010 they had 8,000. So, this was a very huge success. In 2 years you had 8,000 members, 1,000 problems and 600 solutions were there in that particular platform. So, that is how they actually challenged the problem. So, they actually accepted the problem and then focused on the problem and tried to solve the problem of innovation generation. So, what was the consequence? Again, it is a very good step. The problem is solved now. So, there were 2,000 different products every year that was getting created, and it was a very fast paced innovation. So, generally innovation takes time for market ideation, whether the market will accept it or not, the testing in the market and etc. But because everything was done in an online platform, and anyway the market itself was talking about the problem and the designer was giving solutions, and market was readily giving acknowledgement that whether this particular solution is good or bad, the innovation pace were very fast. You can create a problem, corresponding solution and the viability of the solution. All of these things were very fast. So, slowly Tchibo's image, which was there from 1950s, which is still there in 2000s right now. So, generally if a particular brand is there for the last 60 years, you will know that it is a traditional brand like Tata Tea or ITC. In our case, we know that okay, these are traditional, very well established names, we will always believe on them and blah blah blah. This kind of an image creates in the customer's mind. Similar thing happened with Tchibo, but from being a traditional brand, all of a sudden this Tchibo Ideas changed their image and made an innovative company, because no other crowdsourcing company was there at that point of time, and because Tchibo was doing this, Tchibo had become all of a sudden a very, so it's like coming up with a new avatar. You change your face and you change your looks and etc., come up with a new avatar which is very young, very energetic, very innovative, sharp in mind, not a person who is it's the trustworthy and etc. All of these things are there, but the old traditional thing that you will get a traditional feeling or a nostalgic feeling, that is gone. So, by doing this they could reduce 20 to 30% marketing cost. That is the one of the major thing through customer involvement, because customers are involved in the product. You do not have to sell it, you do not have to push the innovations. Customers themselves were liking the innovations, and that is why they are involved with the innovation making process, and that is why the marketing costs will come down. They will anyway buy. There were lots of positive reviews from the bloggers. People were actually tracking this thing and people were writing good thing about things. So, this is called owned media. Sorry, this is not owned media. This is called acquired media or something like that. So, which is basically it is not owned. Sorry, it is acquired media that you acquire based on. It is acquired based on your own skills. So, this is basically unpaid. You do not pay anything for them, and they do up word of mouth, positive word of mouth for you. So, that kind of things were going on because bloggers were in a gaga, because bloggers got a very good idea generating platform. Bloggers also need their own ideas. So, if somebody is generating idea very frequently, and you can go to this platform and see that okay, this product has come up which is very good, and 10 products that you can see which can change your keychain, that kind of blog you can write, and that creates a positive image for Tchibo. But the problem that happened through this were with these designers who were giving the solutions. They started thinking that okay, I am getting some royalties out of it, but that royalties were not so good. So, for a very strong time, very long time they started feeling that they are getting cheated, they are not getting the amount of money or recognition that they should have got, and they had a mixed feeling. So, that was a major problem for or slowly it was becoming a problem for Tchibo, but otherwise everything was fine. Now, the question that I would want to discuss in this particular context is, will increased focus on Tchibo ideas and consumer power will be helpful for Tchibo, which will it be more advantageous? Should Tchibo use the platform only for learning from the customer, or should they use it for mass production? So, is it only a cloud sourcing platform where I will source ideas, or I will make it a mass platform? The Tchibo idea itself will be a platform, or should it only be an add-on on its technological product development process? So, these are the key ideas that I want to say. You can read about Tchibo ideas on your own in the website, in internet and etc. And in the next video, we will try to discuss on this particular 3 points. Why don't you stop, take probably 1 day break, don't come back to this next video before 1 day. If you are listening in the morning, use your evening time. If you are listening in the evening, use your next morning time to search about Tchibo and Tchibo ideas a little bit. Get all the information that you can get about Tchibo ideas in internet. It's a pretty good case, and then come back with this analysis of these questions on your own, some 3-4 pointers, and the next video we will discuss about that. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next video.